Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Let's Chat Reality. I'm Michael,
And I'm Molly.
I'm
and
Jordan.
we are so excited. We are talking about the new season of The Circle, season 7, and who better to have to talk about The Circle than somebody who was in those apartment complex just maybe a few days before this group? Season 6 finalist, Jordan Staff, our friend. Jordan, how are you?
America's favorite player, baby. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Would
I'm
have
excited.
been. If they had had that award, Jordan, you would have gotten
Right.
it. Well, Jordan, how have you been since the last time we talked?
I've been good. A lot of fun meeting so many people that I've seen on TV, and now they know my name, which is crazy. I'm like, I'm just a fan, but thanks for knowing my name.
Yes. Well, I'm sure that is wild to go one day, just a normal person, to a next day, you are known by worldwide audiences. But
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
well, a new season has begun. So, Molly, what are your thoughts overall on the season so far?
I've been really enjoying this season. I feel like all the cast members have a lot of personality and they're bringing the strategy already that we're seeing in terms of these alliances that are formed. I feel like some people like maybe pushed it on a little bit too soon to form some alliances, but overall it makes for great TV so far. Even in these 4 episodes, I feel like we've gotten a lot. So I'm really excited for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think the pacing of this season, the first batch, is really good. Like, I like that we had like a blocking that was fake, and then we had like a real blocking. Like, I'm just the pacing is chef's kiss, and I think it's a formula that like needs to stay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because like last season, I feel like was very game focused, very strategy focused, and this one feels to me kind of a little bit more back to before last season, where it was a lot more personality focused,
Right.
and we got to see a lot of. At this group, I feel like is just really animated, really excited, and I feel like we're seeing a lot of that and getting to know a lot of their personalities, which is nice.
Yes.
Well, let's just kind of go through our starting cast here. So we are first introduced to Deb. She's 54 from Pittsburgh, playing as 26-year-old Rachel. Jordan, what were your thoughts on Deb?
I want to know, because this filmed right after mine, did Deb lead the Angela archetype going into
I
Big Brother?
know.
That's
That
what
was
I
my
want to know.
first thought was, is this Angela Murray in a brunette wig?
Yeah,
Because this is
literally.
exactly what she would be like on the circle.
Yes, yes. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed.
I know. That is my new favorite archetype, is just the cracked out older woman. And
Yes,
I hope we get many, many more to come.
many.
Molly, what did you think of Deb?
Yeah, I like her a lot. I think she's fun just overall. Like she doesn't care. Like she's just there to have fun and like that just makes it great to watch. So I'm excited that she's still in the game and I feel like some people are catching on that she's a catfish, but I don't know how like more like how much people actually have substance to that. So I feel like
Right,
for now she'll stay in.
right. But I do like that there is kind of like the whole, especially with the games, like there is kind of the catfish hunt going on right now. And I like that because it kind of brings back the circle roots.
Yeah, which I've never quite understood the appeal of getting out catfish because, like, if they're on your side, they're on your side. Like a catfish,
100%.
who cares if they're catfish? And that was something that I feel like your season was the first one to not care so much about that and just
Right.
like focus on the strategy that does matter. So yeah, it does feel like we're getting a little bit more further back on that, but it is fun regardless.
Yeah. I wish there was an incentive. I wish there was like,
Yeah.
a base prize pot. And every time you get out a catfish, more money goes to the prize pot. Or maybe there's even a separate prize pot for the catfishes where, if you don't get caught, more money gets added. If you do this, do that, more money gets added. I think that would really incentivize the catfish, especially in like the later seasons. Because right now we're at a point where it's like, oop, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like on the traders, how getting out a trader doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
They're not going to eliminate you, if they're not going to murder you, like, it doesn't really matter. So it's kind of the same thing where, like, if that is going to be the point of the show, I do think that there should be an incentive. But, like,
Right.
if not, then it just doesn't matter.
I agree.
But next we have Kevin, aka K Fern, which I'm really glad we didn't end up having to call him all episodes. He is 23 years old from San Diego, playing as himself. Jordan, what did you think of Kevin?
I think Kevin as a character is great. I love Kevin as a character. As a strategist, my blood is boiling, Kevin. And I've told him. But as entertainment, I'm loving Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that getting out Savannah was definitely not a good move on his part, but he's young. Maybe he'll learn from that. But overall, I think he's definitely fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll get more into his blocking of Savannah, but yeah, I mean, that just was an interesting move, I guess. But yeah, we'll get into more of that later. But I agree. I think he's a fun character, almost maybe a bit in the vein of your archetype. I could see but not his actually good, strategy.
Yes,
A little bit I could see. But yeah, fun to watch. Fun as a character.
Yes.
Next we have Darian, 29, from my hometown of Houston. Molly, what did you think of Darian?
I like Darian. I think that we haven't seen like a ton of him yet, but I think that we'll start to see more. But overall, like I don't have any negative thoughts towards him, so that's a positive, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And what's funny about Darian is like he just reminds me, same with Jadeja, like of people that I grew up with my entire life. Just like the Southern accent. I'm like, I feel like I've known y'all for so long.
Yeah, no, Darian. I feel like we didn't see a ton of him, but yeah, with his, it's interesting because we have Darian and Jadeja that seem like they were almost made for each other because they're both from Houston. They both like are each other's type. It's like that has to be purposeful. That could not have been just unintentional.
100%.
The Circle knows how to do their matchmaking more than other shows on Netflix, apparently.
I know, seriously. The other shows, we get people from different countries, let alone not even the same city. So, yeah, we'll see. I think I'm hopeful that might be a lasting relationship outside of the show, but I'm sure we'll see in a few weeks when they can actually talk about it. But next we have twins, Jojo and Nikki, 24 from Staten Island. They are playing as a catfish as Gianna, who is one of their girlfriends. I don't remember which one. Not that I could even tell them apart, even if I knew. But, Jordan, what did you think of the twins?
I think they're fun to watch for sure. They're definitely like such characters, and I will definitely agree with you that I still don't know which one's which, because it's not like Big Brother where we have like other people referring to them by their names. It's like we haven't heard them really call each other, or I guess we've heard them call each other their names, but like you know what I mean. It's not like the repetitive like now I know like Julia and Liz, like like we got to learn their names because all the house guests and stuff like that.
Well, and they were only in there one at a time for the first 5 weeks, so we really got to know them individually.
Can't tell them apart, but they're fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, they're to me like if you took like Joey Sasso and combined him with like Marge Simpson's sisters or something. I don't know. It's like they just seem so unreal to me. Like just like cartoon characters, but they're fun. Yeah, Molly, what did you think of them?
Yeah, no, they definitely bring out the New York, Staten Island vibes, and that's fun to see. I feel like overall that they have that pride, and obviously they have that kind of connection with playing, or also with Deb or Rachel playing as someone also from Staten Island. So it's kind of fun to see them like have that together. But obviously I don't know that much about Staten Island myself, but like it's fun that they could connect on that. So I'm liking watching them. I don't know how far they're gonna make it, but I think for right now I like them.
Yeah, they're fun. Next, we have Heather, 26, from Nashville, playing also as a catfish. We have a lot of catfish this season, a lot more than last year, which is fun. She's playing as Andy, one of her bandmates. Jordan, what did you think of Heather?
I love Heather. I think she has a lot of potential moving forward. But, I mean, it's just like these buttons keep screwing her over so bad. And I'm interested to see how she moves forward from that. But I love Heather.
Yeah. I really love Heather too. I think that she's playing a really good game to what she can right now, even though some of the cards that have been dealt have not been as great in her favor. But she's been bouncing back, and Andy seems to still be likable, especially with the boys. Like they've got that together, and then with the new Madeline who just came in, like I think that's gonna help him help Heather as Andy as well. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. Okay, Jordan, I have a question. When you are talking about the season and you're referring to people like gameplay things that happen during the season, do you refer to them as their catfish name or as their real name?
I refer to them as their real name, but I think it's because I just because I was on the show, I was talking to them before the show came out, so like I got to know them as them, so that just kind of came like naturally because of that.
Okay, yeah, because I never know what to do, like whether which way people will kind of understand that better.
Right.
But, yeah, no, that makes sense. Next we have here Jadeja, 24, also from Houston, Texas. Molly, what did you think of Jadeja?
I love Deja. I think that she's just really fun and has I don't know, just her energy, just like you can just tell she just has that just positivity and just overall I like the way she's playing so far, so I'm happy to see her.
Yeah, Jadeja, she's so funny. Like she's made for the circle. Some of these one-liners she comes up with, I'm like, where did that come from?
Yeah, she's great. I hope we see her on more shows. I feel like she has a lot of personality. She's kind of made for reality TV. I really like her. And then we have lastly here Savannah, 22 from Texarkana, Texas. Jordan, what did you think of Savannah?
Savannah Mojo. Like Tana Mojo coded so hard. I love her.
Is that her last name? I didn't know her last name.
no. But she just reminds me of Tana Mojo so much. I love her.
Wow, I never thought of it, and now I won't be able to unsee it.
Yep, my friend Daniel, he said she looks like Tana, and after he said that, couldn't unsee it.
Wow, that is very true. Molly, what did you think of Savannah?
Yeah, I like Savannah. I think that she definitely maybe wasn't playing as great of a game in the beginning, which is why we end up seeing her get blocked. But I think overall, then she definitely has so much personality. I hope we could see her again, but I don't know if she will get casted for anything else. But I really like watching her for the episodes that we got to see her on.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, next we had our first game called Risky Quizness. A lot of yes or no questions that are kind of controversial, a little risque. Got to break the ice with the whole cast. Jordan, do you think that this was a good game to start with? Do you think anyone kind of made any big mistakes here with their answers?
Yeah, I think especially when you're just getting into the circle, I think that's a good game to just kind of get to understand people better. I think Darian made a big mistake. It didn't end up hurting him, but with the dog question, just because I'm in the circle, think about optics, you don't always have to answer the truth, and I think that could have really hurt him in the long run. But he cleared it up, so it worked out for him.
Yeah, Molly, what do you think?
Yeah, it's always fun to see that because then you kind of can then what you're saying is build that kind of trust or not. Like if someone answered a question like that, you would be like, oh my gosh, I can't trust that person. But then he was able to then go back on it and people do trust him now. But that's not a good question to answer no to that. You would not want to say you're not going to save an animal like that. That's just rule book. You shouldn't do that. But overall, I think it's fun just to see how people answer those questions. And I'm glad they did that early on. I feel like in the previous seasons, I don't think we got them as early, that kind of quiz earlier on in the season. Maybe I'm just not remembering, but I feel like that was kind of fun to see because then it kind of starts people realizing if they're aligned with someone, they're answering the same questions, that really solidified that for them too.
100%. Yeah. I think on my season, I played a game similar to that and I came in on episode 6. So I don't remember the last time they did a game like this early, but I do think it is a game that needs to be played early.
Yeah. No, because who's going to know that he can't swim? You just say you're going to do it. I don't think any of them are going to say, you know what, you look like you can't swim. I don't know that I believe this. Just one of those things. Just say yes. But yeah, no, I think other than that, there were a couple of people, I guess, who kind of were the one answer. Like, I think Jadeja for the first couple questions was the odd one out, right? Or was that
Yeah.
someone else?
Yeah, it was like she wouldn't send a nude or like something
Right,
like,
right.
yeah.
But I guess like those types of questions, like either way, it doesn't really mean anything. Which I
Yeah.
guess that's what the only like one note I would have for that game is that I feel like each question should like kind of give you some sort of information on that person that could
Right.
help you in the game somewhat. Because otherwise, it's just like, okay, these are like maybe fun questions, but like they don't really have an impact in the game.
I agree.
But after that game ended, we got our first ratings of the season. So in 7th place was Gianna, aka JoJo and Nikki. In 6th place, Rachel, aka Deb. 5th place, Darian. 4th, Kevin. 3rd, Jadeja. And then our influencers, 2nd and 1st, were Savannah and Andy, aka Heather. Did any of those surprise you, Jordan?
No, I don't think so. But it's also like those ratings were so like day one ratings. They're gonna kind of just be a crapshoot at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't really surprised by that either. I think that made sense in terms of like how people rate each other's after initial meeting. Like it's hard to go off of a lot, so they just had to go with their gut.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the influencers chose to block Gianna. Now, obviously, this didn't end up mattering, but was that the right move, do you think, Molly?
I think so. I mean, in the beginning, like you don't want to ruffle too many feathers, and the fact that she was already ranked sixth, or it's not sixth, seventh out of everyone, then she was already last in terms of other like the general consensus of people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was a good move on their part. Obviously, then because the disruptor was used, like didn't actually end up mattering, but I think it was a good choice to try to block her.
Jordan, what'd you think?
Yeah, I agree. Especially like with a day one blocking, it's like you kind of have to just do the best you can to not upset too many people. And it's like, yeah, you just have to go for the person at the bottom at that point. It's like, it's the first day. You don't want to cause too many waves.
Right. It's kind of like on Big Brother, how the first HOH will be like, okay, these are the two people who came in last in the first HOH competition,
right,
or something like that. It's just like the easy excuse where they can't be too upset with you because, like, you
Yeah.
have to choose someone, and that's an obvious thing to do. So, yeah, I agree. I think that's kind of what they had to do, unless either of them felt a certain strong way about that person. But obviously, because they were last, probably weren't going to, and nobody would have rated them first, or they wouldn't have come in last. So,
Right.
I guess that kind of they had to do that. But then, like we mentioned, we had introduced the disruptor power. And this was a twist where whoever the first person is to say the word disruptor ends up winning the disruptor power, which at that time they didn't know what it did. Gianna, ended up getting that, and it ended up saving JoJo and Nikki. So, what did we think of this twist overall? Jordan, what did you think?
I don't think it's a bad thing, especially because like just as a fan, like I never like day one evictions, day one blockings, anything like that. So I like how it was exciting to watch, right? But also I'm happy that like no one got blocked that early in the game. But in terms of like episodes, I love that it was there.
Molly, what'd you think?
Yeah, I think that the same. I feel pretty much the exact same way as Jordan does. But overall, like, I kind of wish we also got to see Gianna say, or like Nikki and JoJo say that they were saying it, because we didn't know it until they were like, oh, actually, there's no blocking that happened, which I guess added to the TV like drama effect to it. But I wanted to know, like, oh, did someone actually use it? Because it almost seemed like no one did until they were like, oh, no one's getting blocked. Like, would they have just like done that without us? Like, what did they actually say? Just which I think they did, obviously, but like you never know behind the scenes if like producers were like, okay, actually we don't want anyone gone, so we're gonna say that you use this power. So I kind of wish we got to see that. What?
That's the problem that I have is that it's like kind of like, I don't know if you remember Pandora's Box from Big Brother, where it was like this twist like in the early teen years of Big Brother that like just magically appeared whenever producers wanted to save someone or wanted to give someone an advantage, or like it was very convenient timing that it always showed up. And this is kind of the same thing, I feel like, where it was like, how do we know that Gianna was actually the first person to say this? Like, unless we literally had like a timer and we
Right.
got to see the time, like it just feels very convenient that it happened to be them that won this, and they happened to be the ones who were going to be eliminated, and that this wouldn't have affected like this production schedule of the show. Like, I
Right.
just feel like this is one of those things where I'm like, I don't mind it. It didn't like I don't hate it, but it just feels very convenient. But well, I guess we'll never know.
We'll never know.
Yeah. Then after this, we had two more contestants added this, at the start of episode 2. First, we had Madeline, 25, from Franklin, Georgia. Jordan, what did you think of Madeline?
I like that. Has anyone seen Temptation Island? Because I haven't.
Yeah, wait. Was she on Temptation Island?
She was on season 4.
Oh, wait a
Yeah.
minute.
I haven't seen, but I heard she was a lot of fun on there. So I'm interested to see what she brings to the circle.
I'm trying to remember if season 4. I skipped a couple seasons, but I did. Was that the most recent? Because I did watch.
I believe so.
Oh my god, I don't even remember her. I need to go back.
And she went by Juicy on there. Everyone called her Juicy.
Oh, okay. I really need to go back because that doesn't sound familiar to me. She did not look familiar to me, but I definitely watched the most recent season of that. So.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I heard she was a lot of fun on there. So I'm interested to see what she brings to the circle. I mean, especially when you come in like later, your first few episodes, like there's not going to be much of you. So
Right. Molly, what do you think of Madeline?
Yeah, I mean, so far what we've seen of her, I think she's going to be fun to watch. And if she's already been on reality TV, she's kind of already in this atmosphere in the world that's like she understands how to bring the energy, I think, or especially in the circle, like you kind of just have to be that kind of personality, and it seems like she is. So I'm excited to watch her more.
Yeah. And then lastly, we got Garrett, 29, from West Hollywood. Molly, what do you think of Garrett?
I think Garrett is really fun. I don't know him super well yet. Obviously, we don't have like too much information on him since he just joined, but I think that he'll be a really fun player to watch throughout the season as long as he stays. And I'm excited just to learn more about him.
yeah, he's setting himself up well for the most part right now, I think. Other than like maybe I think when there was a fight going on, he threw in his 2 cents, and I was like, I don't think you really needed to like do that yet. But other than that, I think he's setting himself up pretty well for like a strong later game.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him kind of being added to 2 group chats at the same time towards the end of episode 4, which I feel like always means you're probably in a pretty good position if 2 different groups are trying to pull you in and add you. Like, you kind of have your pick of the litter. Like, I think that's a good position for him to be on as long as he can kind of still work that middle ground as long as he can until, he kind of has to choose a side or seem untrustworthy.
Right.
But I think right now it seems like, yeah, he's in a pretty good position. So I don't see him going home like anytime in the near future.
Yeah, I could see him being a finalist easily.
Yeah, I think so too. So then when they, right after they were added, we got the next game, Throwback Thirsty, where people posted photos and people responded. Did they have to, they only had to respond with emojis, I guess, was the rule, right?
Right, but everyone was using the same 2 emojis.
Right,
which
that's what I was wondering.
About.
Like,
yeah.
were those the only 2 they could use? Or
yeah, I don't know, because there's a long list of emojis, so I was really confused by that.
Yeah. Molly, what do you think of that game?
Yeah, I don't know if it added like too much to the overall game. Overall, it was fun to watch generally, like seeing people comment on their pictures, but like I don't think it really added too much to the game itself.
I agree. Other than like Deb posting or oh my god, I forgot her.
Rachel.
Yeah, other than her doing like the thirst, like sipping the drink, I think that's the only thing that could affect the game.
Very literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is one of those games that I kind of wish there was a surprise twist at the end where like the person who got the most amount of like hard eyes or something got some sort of like, maybe rather than them doing the disruptor thing to decide who gets to be at which party afterwards, like whoever got the most emojis on their photos total got to make that choice or something that were like to make this game matter in some way, because otherwise like, besides that one moment where people are like, oh, that's kind of weird, like that seems a little suspicious that she might be a catfish, like we didn't really get much from that game.
Yeah.
But next, like I mentioned, we had the next disruptor mode where Kevin ended up winning, and he got to choose who was invited to the welcome party for the 2 new members, and he chose Darian and Gianna. So, Jordan, did you think that those were the right choices for him to make?
I blinked out for a second. We're talking about Kevin's VIP party, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jadeja and Darian, they were fine. I think his biggest mistake, though, was not bringing Savannah and bringing in Gianna. I think that was his big mistake there. That Gianna was already in a bad position, and like he could be looking at the angle that like, oh, I'm gonna bring her in so I can like be good with her, but it's also like you're bringing her into this other large group of people, and then you try to set up this alliance, and now you set up this alliance with someone who didn't have much power. Now you're giving them power, and you're leaving out your showmans. I think that's where he messed up.
Yeah, for sure. I was really surprised not to see Savannah chosen, but I feel like Darian does make sense just in general. Like he like felt really strongly with Andy, so he wanted to try to build up more of his bros. But then obviously Andy or Heather was upset about that, but she tried to play it off like, oh, like it's fine, even though like deep down she's like, why was I not invited?
Yeah.
But in the game, you kind of just have to let it slide there. But I mean, I think Kevin did well in terms of like wanting to build those alliances, which he did in the end. Like he did get those people on his side, so that's good for his game in this particular moment. So then it worked out in his favor.
Yeah, I feel like him bringing in Gianna is maybe something that's more a move that would have worked better on a game like Big Brother, where you can do a lot more work and having a lot more different conversations with people to kind of like bring someone in and have them trust you. And like, I feel like on this game, you just don't get to have a lot of conversations with people. And so doing this move, like, just didn't quite make sense. Like when someone's already on the bottom, like just kind of like, work on those relationships with people who are in better with other people who can then like you can kind of get more, I don't want to say get more use out of, but like you could use those relationships to better your own position, whereas like trying to get in good with somebody who nobody really cares that much about at that moment. Yep. in their terms of their future plans for the game, like that's just not going to do a whole lot for you. But
I agree.
Then we had our second ratings. Now we had basically a total reversal from the first ones. In 7th place, we had Savannah, tie for 6th and 5th with Rachel and Andy. 4th place, Jadeja. 3rd, Darian. And then our influencers were Gianna and Kevin. Did any of those ratings surprise either of you at this point?
I mean, I wouldn't have expected Savannah to be at the bottom, but like, with the whole like party and her being left out of that, I mean, it makes sense. So it wasn't too shocking. But if you would have showed me that before that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think I felt bad for Savannah she just was an influencer and then automatically then in the bottom in the next rankings, which is obviously not great for her. But I wasn't surprised about Kevin getting first. I think that like because he won and being able to invite 2 other people he hadn't really built trust with yet, like that helped him in the game and winning the influencer that for this round. But I don't know how long that's going to last for him. But for right now in that spot, like he was able to have that power there. So
yeah. Well, the influencers ended up blocking Savannah after a long fight between them about choosing between Rachel, Andy, and Savannah. Really took me back to your influencer chat with, oh my God, why I'm blanking on QT.
Yeah.
How long that lasted.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they came to the best compromise here for both of their games? What were your thoughts, Jordan?
No. Savannah going out was never even an idea in my head. I didn't want Heather, aka Annie, to go either because I was like, oh, she's getting screwed over by the button twist because of what happened in episode 1. I was like, I think she's going to be the option here just based off of the conversation they were having. But I think what should have happened is, and I don't want this to happen, but I think in terms of gameplay, Jadeja should have been the one to go here. I think if Kevin would have, like, he's close with Darian, right? If he would have explained it like, hey, like, we were having a hard time budging. Like, you know, you're my boy. I didn't want to let you go. Savannah's my girl. I couldn't let her go. And Jadeja was kind of the only one here. I think he could have explained that well. And it's also like, you've kind of got your pair. You know, Jadeja and Darian are a pair, especially after like the didn't they have a conversation where Darian said something like, oh, I don't need a wingman anymore or something like that? And then also just the way they were in the picture game, I think that would have been a good duo for them to split up. Kevin and Jadeja didn't really have anything going on there. I think that's who Kevin should have pushed for.
Interesting, because she wasn't even brought up as an option. Like, she was immediately kind of decided, like, no, she's safe.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. I could have seen that be maybe a bit of an easier compromise there. Molly, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like it was hard knowing that like someone's close alliance member was going to go home in the final, like whoever like they had as their final people they're deciding between, which I was shocked by too. I'm like, why weren't they deciding between anyone else? Like these people are like close to them. Like, what's happening here? But they both felt very strongly, and then obviously Kevin had to sacrifice his number one person at that point. It seemed like who had his back. So him getting Savannah out like was not good on his part. But it is what it is. He can't take that back now.
Yeah. I just, it's such a bad look for him too. I mean, I don't really remember how public him and Savannah really were, but it's just like, yeah, you've created all these new alliances, but you also just showed how quick you would be to backstab your number one, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know how many people kind of knew how close they were, but I guess until she did say in her goodbye thing afterwards, like she really did make it seem like they were close, and that is another thing that that I feel like maybe Kevin should have thought of was that, like, you know, if he does backstab her, then she is going to be bitter, and in her message to the whole house afterwards, probably say something that would indicate how close they really were, even if nobody knew it before that.
Yeah, but then she ended up calling out Heather like crazy for no reason. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that was a stray bullet there that got Heather. But yeah, that was not a good move. I feel like, so wait, who was number one? Who was the number one influencer? So Kevin was number one. So if it was a tie, they could have just done the exact same thing that you and QT did, and just like she closed the laptop and, you know, logged out and made the decision on her own. And I feel like I don't know if Kevin knew he could do that. But as number one, like, I feel like he should have really stood his ground more than JoJo and Nikki did.
I agree. I don't think he should have been able. Like, me and QT's situation was a little different because I was like a secret influencer that kind of got dragged to the top because of her. Right. But he definitely should have stood his ground a little more, and he shouldn't have been the one leaving in a bad position.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, obviously I love Heather and Andy, like, so I'm glad that wasn't the decision, but also, like, it's not good for Kevin's game now that he got Savannah out.
Yeah. Well, we did see the next day that Kevin and Gianna got into a pretty big argument during the public chat. Who do we think kind of won this in the end? Who came out looking better here? Jordan, what do you think?
I kind of don't remember it that well. So, Molly, you go and jog my memory.
Yeah.
I think that, I don't even know, like, in general, they kind of were just both going at each other for trying to say that they didn't do, like, the final decision or whatever. Like, it kind of felt like they just didn't want to take the credit of claiming who, like, they got Savannah out. Like, because obviously Kevin didn't want Savannah to go, but then they had to, and like so Gianna was just saying it was Kevin's fault. I just felt like they were both being petty, and there wasn't really a winner. It just was like they just didn't want to be wrong, or they just didn't want to be seen as the one that backstabbed the other.
Right.
Like, that's just the vibe I got from it.
Yeah. I don't fully understand on a strategic point why they got into the fight. Like, whenever I got into my fight, like, I had intention behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there wasn't a lot of intention here.
Yeah, it was a fight that I don't think either of them. Well, I guess like they did. I mean, because I'm trying to think of what started it. Because I think it was JoJo and Nikki that started, like, kind of threw the first stone there. So, like, I guess there was probably more intention for them, but I don't even think that it was necessary. Like, I don't think that anyone thought that they.
Yeah, Kevin was the number one, so it was
Right.
like in my head, like I would have already been questioning Kevin.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that just not saying anything would have made Kevin look bad, like
Yeah.
just on its own, because
I agree.
everyone knew that he was the one closer to Savannah. So the fact that he gave up already made him look bad. So yeah, I agree. I just don't think that it was necessary on their part. So to me, like if I was in there, I would probably think that they looked worse by just starting that fight for seemingly no reason. But,
Yeah, because it is kind of like now it's like I mean it depends how people take it, but you could look at it like, why are you were an influencer as well? Why are you trying to throw so much blame on
right.
Kevin? Are you trying to hide something? You know?
That's exactly what I would probably think if I was in there, was like that it was just unnecessary, and like putting the blame on trying to put the blame on someone
Yeah.
else for something that you did or had an equal part of.
Right.
So, at the end of the last episode here, we got a bit of a cliffhanger, as we tend to do on the Circle. The last disruptor power was activated, and Rachel and Madeline have to swap profiles. Now, I don't know, is this for the rest of the game? Just for a certain...
No, it was just until the next blocking. And if, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but I believe actually, how does it work? Because I remember there was some like concept of like, oh, if you get blocked. So here's my question. Rachel is catfishing as Madeline. Madeline is catfishing as Rachel.
I know what your question, yeah.
If Rachel gets blocked,
Uh-huh.
does that mean Deb goes, or does that mean Madeline goes?
That's a good question. I thought about this. I think it has to be Deb going, right?
That's what I would think.
Because that's who they are intending to block.
What? No, 100. No, and if it's not, then that wouldn't make sense. Because if I'm Deb catfishing as Madeline, and if Madeline gets blocked, Madeline goes and not Deb,
And
then
she's
I would be
stuck.
trying to make myself get blocked.
Well, because then she's stuck as Madeline for the rest of the game.
Right.
If the real Madeline goes, then she's has to keep.
Yeah, it has to be
like,
the original.
Yeah, 'cause all they said is like if you survive, then you'll switch back.
Yeah, I think that has to be how it works, though, because it logistically doesn't make sense otherwise for the after that round.
Yeah.
But I really hope that happens, because I really do want to see that.
Yeah.
that would
I know
make
that would be
things
crazy
really
though.
interesting.
Like, because then it's like you didn't actually play that week as yourself. Like that'd be kind of sad for whoever if that happens.
Yeah.
But it's like, do you remember I think it was season 3, they had like Blue Michelle and Orange Michelle or something like that. Like, I felt so bad for her that time, because it was like she just kept getting gaslit, and I feel like that is how this week is gonna feel. But we will see. The next 4 episodes drop on Wednesday. Super excited for that. But until then, is any last final thoughts? Anything we missed here?
Anything we missed? I mean, Debbie, she went 0 to 100, and the first chat or the second chat, or a little bit of both.
Yeah, she is that bitch.
which messy gameplay, but so entertaining.
Yeah, that was when she felt most Angela Murray to me. That felt like the staircase bad low budget movie monologue. That's what that was giving.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited to see her. Hopefully she stays in them for a while, because I feel like she'll just continue to bring that kind of energy and be messy at times, but also like just wants to cause some drama, and it's great for us to watch that. So
we stand.
I'm excited to see the rest of the season and the future drops that we get. But I think that's all I had on these 4 episodes so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure as always.
Oh, always. Anytime. I'm here.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Be sure to follow us at Let's Chat Reality on social media and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We will be back soon with another episode, so stay tuned. And thank you guys so much for listening.
Bye.